So, good morning. How are you all? So good to see everybody. Some faces I haven't seen in a long time, and some new ones, and some that are here all the time. So, welcome, welcome. Um, you want it to be a foot day? Is that what you said? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's so nice out. It's going to be super nice out this weekend, too. So, how many of you have been bothered with allergies, breathing kinds of issues, that kind of stuff? Yeah. So it's probably going to be a little bit more this weekend with the weather getting warmer. I think I'll leave that on for now. So, use your neti pot, right? Yes. Use your neti pot. That's all I can say, right? To get that going. And how many of you, for those who were here last week, we had that lovely practice with the belly, right? How many of you were able to do that afterwards, or did you get confused again? You got confused again. Okay, so just forget the clock thing, right? So just remember top, left, bottom, right, right? Top, left, bottom, right. And for those who have no idea what I'm talking about, we were doing some belly massage last week. So, in anticipation of the holidays coming up and all of that, sometimes your belly can get a little, from a little too much stuff or a little too rich foods or too many different kinds of foods. So before you eat, just sort of stimulating your digestion, and you want to go in the direction of your digestion, which is from the top to the left to the bottom to the right. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of that here, and thank you for that. We'll do a little bit of that here later, but for now, let's start with a little bit of breathing. Good morning. Good morning. So sitting up nice and close to the front edge of your chair. Have your feet underneath your knees, and you can have your shoes on, shoes off. You can have your socks, no socks, whatever you like, but however much you can within the constraints of your footwear, see if you can lift your toes up, spread them out a little bit, and then lower them down. And then let them relax a little bit. Okay. And now press down into your feet slightly. So into your heels, the balls of your feet, maybe into the bottoms of your toes. And lift your arches a little bit. So thinking about the little arch here in the inside of the foot. So just kind of lift that up a little bit. And notice with all this concentration that your breathing might be a little bit shallow. So just kind of let your breath be smooth and easy. Okay. And then notice where your shoulders are in relationship to your hips. Are you kind of leaning forward a little bit? Can you bring your shoulders so they're right on top of your hips? Good. And then let your head be relaxed, so it's sort of like a little water balloon sitting up there on top of your shoulders. So there's just this gentle little movement in your head. And then if it's comfortable to close your eyes, I'll invite you to do that now. And that just kind of brings your attention into your body. So breathing in and breathing out. Notice how the air is flowing this morning. Is it moving in and out through your nostrils easily, comfortably, or are you having a little bit of a challenge with the breathing this morning? If you're having a little difficulty getting a full breath, you can blow out through pursed lips as if you were blowing out a candle very slowly. So breathing in through the nose conditions the air. It filters the air, it warms it to the right temperature. And then again, breathing out through pursed lips as if you're blowing out a candle, that just gets a little more of the carbon dioxide out of your lungs a little more quickly. And that can help if you're having some issues. Otherwise, see if you can breathe in and out through your nose comfortably. And notice if your breath is fast or slow, if it's shallow or deep. If there's a sound or an image that relates to your breath this morning. And notice if this is the first time you've even paid attention to your breath today. And now begin to deepen your breathing so that as you inhale, you fill your belly, your ribcage, and your collarbones. And as you exhale, you can feel the breath leaving the belly, ribcage, and collarbones. So it's as if your body is an empty vessel, and as you breathe in, that vessel expands, and as you breathe out, the vessel gently contracts. Long, slow, deep breaths in and out. And as you're doing this breathing, as you're bringing breath into your body, notice what's going on in your mind right now. Notice your thoughts. So it's the nature of the mind to continue to have thoughts even when you're focusing on something, even when you're concentrating on something. The mind gets a little bit bored in concentration for the most part. So just like you were noticing your breath, notice if your thoughts are fast or slow. If there are many thoughts or just one or two. And notice the quality of your thoughts right now. Are they dark? Are they light? Are they heavy? Are your thoughts in anticipation or are they in remembrance? So thoughts live either in the future or the past. And then as your thoughts are happening, just direct your attention back to your breath and back to your body, noticing where you're feeling tight or tense, noticing where the breath is moving in the body. And then let's take in one more full, deep breath. And at the top of that breath, I want you to hold for a moment and then let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. Let your hands come off your lap. We'll just move the fingers a little bit here this morning. So extending and bending the fingers, all those little joints in there. Notice how your fingers are moving. Are they moving easily? Are some of them a little bit sore? And then extend your fingers so your thumbs and your little fingers, baby fingers, are as far away from each other as they can be. And keeping that extension in the hands, we're going to rotate the thumbs. So we notice that little movement there. And some people get arthritis here in the saddle joint in the thumb, and that can be really kind of devastating for being able to do a lot of the daily activities. So just kind of going through this little range of motion can be helpful. And then reverse if you're going in one direction. Now notice if you're holding your hands up with your shoulders way up here, see if you can drop your shoulders down a little bit. And then extend the thumbs again and take just your first fingers and see if you can make some circles, nice and slow. Yeah. Notice how that works, and reverse the direction of those. Okay, and then extend that, and let's go with that second finger. Right? So just the second finger, but notice how the third finger likes to get involved, right? That third finger tags along. And then extend that, and now let's get that third finger going. See if you can move that. And that one usually will work a little more independently than the second one, but it's connected. There's actually a tendon between those two fingers. Most of us have, not all, but most of us have that. And then the last one, that little one, last but not least. All right, and then shake that out a little bit, and we're going to rotate the wrists. Notice how the wrists feel this morning. Everybody's conducting. Right, so we're doing a little musical conduction. Go in the opposite direction, kind of switch it up a little bit. Notice if one wrist feels different than the other. Okay, and then just elbows. So we're just going to bend elbows one at a time, noticing that. So we're getting a little movement in there. Getting the hands to the shoulders. We're going to bring the arms out to the sides. Keep the elbows lifted so your upper arms are parallel to the floor, and we're just going to bend and extend. Right, so breathing in, breathing out. Noticing your feet. Are your feet connected to the floor still? Did you forget about that connection? You did, right? Yeah, because we're doing all this upper body stuff. Who cares about the lower body right now? It's there, it's just kind of hanging out. Okay, so next time your hands touch your shoulders, we're going to go up overhead. So real easy movements, just up and down. So we're just kind of oiling the joints a little bit this morning, getting things ready for a little more complex movements. So it's good to do. It's good to do kind of simple movements first, and then go to the more complex movements. Next time your hands are down on your shoulders, we're going to pause there, and then we're going to go forward with one hand, and then forward with the other. So we're just going to go back and forth. Now you can make a little fist as you pull back if you'd like, and then extend your hand as you push forward, and then get your back involved. So twist your body a little bit here, and breathe. So nice and slow, and breathe. Good. Okay, and then hands come together. We're going to take the hands so the palms are facing up, and then bring your arms behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, and imagine you could touch your thumbs back there. And then turn your palms down, come forward and cross one on top of the other, and then we're going to go back. Sitting up nice and tall, breathing in, breathing out, cross the opposite way. Good. Nice. So we're just kind of getting that range of movement into the shoulders. The shoulders are very complex joints, so we have lots of different ways that we can move the shoulders. Just a couple more of these. And if you have any issue with your shoulder, you can always bring your arms down a little bit lower, or you can just do one arm. If one shoulder is like not really wanting to participate in this, maybe just do one arm. Okay, and then bring the hands all the way down to the lap. Let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down a couple of times. And roll the opposite way. Okay, and then let's take the right arm. We're going to take the elbow and make some circles on the wall on that right side. So it's like you're drawing a big circle. Great. And then reverse the direction. Good. And if your shoulder is crunchy or crackly, that's pretty normal for most of us. Shoulders can be a little noisy. And then let's make a figure 8. So draw a big figure 8. Now remember, with the 8, the bottom is bigger than the top, right? Yeah. And notice if your breath has gotten a little shallow, moving from a circle to an 8, because 8 is a little more complex, right? Takes a little more brain power. Can you reverse your 8? Complex, even more complex. Good. I know, crazy, right? All right, let's let that go and shake that out. Take the other arm, so circles, left arm circles. Good. Notice how that shoulder works. So for some of us, there's going to be a big difference in the way the shoulders operate. Next time your elbow's down toward the floor, reverse direction, go the other way. And breathe. Nice. Let's go to 8s. So nice big 8s here. Bigger on the bottom, smaller on the top, and then reverse. Okay, excellent. All right, shake that out a little bit. Shake out the arms. Okay, take your right hand, extend it way out like you're saying stop, right? And we're just going to do a little swan neck movement. So with the swan neck, we bend the elbow, bring the wrist to the shoulder, and the fingers kind of come out like the little face of the swan, right? So extend and bend. So this is a little more complex movement. So we're working the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, the fingers a little bit here. We're working on the connective tissue in the arm, which affects the nerves and the blood vessels that go from your shoulder down to your hand. So really important to get these parts of the body moving. Okay, and then the next time you extend, we're going to hold here. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm going to ask you to bring your arm up overhead as high as it'll go. Now, if your arm doesn't go up high, you can put it out in front. So go up as high as you can go. And then keeping your palm toward the ceiling, right? You're going to bring your hand down and place your hand on the side of your face. Right? Good. Up and all the way down. We're going to do that a couple more times. So breathing in and out, arm comes up, palm of the hand comes right down to the side of the face. Oh, you guys have this. This is so easy for you, right? Good. No? I got a no on that side. Excellent. How about one more time? Good. This is, again, a little more complex movement, right? And the brain has to be a little bit involved in this. All right, shake that out a little bit. Let's go the other side just to give this side a break. So we're going to take the do the little stop thing on the side. And now our little swan neck. All right, so a little swan neck. So we're getting some movement in the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, the hand, the fingers, especially if you kind of use your fingers like a little swan beak, right? Good. It's good for the nerves in the arm, the blood vessels. So if you have cold hands, or if you have like a little bit of numbness or tingling sometimes, this can be helpful. Check with your doctor first, though, if you have numbness or tingling. That's above my pay grade. Next time you're out there, we're going to hold here. And we're going to go all the way up overhead with the palm reaching up toward the ceiling. Bend the elbow. See if you can place that hand on the side of your face. Good. Up and all the way down. So we'll do that a few times. So again, bringing the arm up, palm faces up toward the ceiling, and then right down toward the side of the face. Breathing in, breathing out. So still maintaining that nice full deep breath as we do this. Good. How about one more time? Going all the way up, bending the elbow, placing the hand here. Excellent. All right, let's shake that out a little bit. Okay, a little more complex movement. Take your right thumb and first finger together. And we're going to take that arm out to the side and bring it up so the palm of your hand is up toward the ceiling. Now bend your elbow. See if you can bring the palm of your hand to your face and put your little spyglass on your eye. So not like this. That's easy, right? You're like, that's easy. What am I doing? No, it's like this. It's the hard way. And then up and over. We'll do this a couple more times so you get it. If you have glasses on, just, you might make a big mark on your glasses. So yeah, good. Joanne took her glasses off. That's a good idea. Great. How about two more, right? So again, a little more complex movement, right? So this works the tissue in the arm a little bit differently, the tissue in the shoulder a little bit differently. Actually helps the nerves and blood vessels again, right? So we can have fun and be healthy. So shake that out a little bit. Easy, right? Piece of cake. Piece of cake. All right, let's try the other side, right? So thumb and first finger. We're going to go all the way up. Did I mention breathing on the other side? I don't think I mentioned that. So it's in my contract as a yoga teacher. I have to say breathe. So breathe. Good. Or else it's not a yoga class. It's a spyglass class. Good. How about two more times, right? So again, not like that. I see some people doing that. It's like this. It's the hard way. If you can't get your finger up to your eye, or your little spyglass up to your eye, that's okay. Just keep working on it. Those of you who have been doing this for a while, you know that these things kind of take a little bit of time. So shake that out. So again, that it's a silly movement, right? This little spyglass thing, but it is very complex and it requires flexibility and range of motion in lots of different joints. So that's why we didn't start with that. We don't go right into the spyglass thing. We want to warm things up a little bit first. So if you're having difficulty getting your hand up here, do some of these other movements first. Some simple elbow bends, some simple rotations in the shoulder, just kind of getting those joints oiled up before we get there. Okay, so since everybody did so awesome with that, take your thumbs and first fingers together. We're going to do binoculars. So come all the way up, bend your elbows, palms of your hands to your face. Oh, look at that. Good. You could all do this as kids. Remember? Everybody could do this as a kid. And then let that go. Excellent. All right, shake that out a little bit. Thank the upper body for doing all that work. And we're going to bring the feet a little wider than the hips. So come right up to the front of your chair. So if the chair has a hill, like if you notice there's like this crest right near the front. So you want to be like right on the hill. You don't want to come too far forward because you might come off. And with your feet a little wider than your hips, maybe as wide as the chair legs or somewhere along there, we're going to get a little bit of movement into the spine. So drop your chin to your chest and then lift your chin up. So we're just starting here. Simple movement in the upper part of the spine. Your neck is called your cervical spine. So we're getting movement in the cervical spine. And then as you do this movement with your neck, and you don't have to go to like a great range here, just whatever feels comfortable, I'm going to ask you the next time that you lift your chin up toward the ceiling that you squeeze your shoulder blades together and arch your back, your upper back. And then as you bring your chin toward your chest, you're going to round through your back so you can press your hands into your legs. So go really slowly, right? So the slower you go, the deeper the breath, right? Nice, gentle movement. And see if you can get that movement to go down your spine a little bit more. So as you lift your chin and squeeze the shoulder blades and arch the upper back, see if you can tip your hips forward and arch your lower back. And then as you bring your chin to your chest and round through your upper back, see if you can round through the lower back. So we're going forward and backward here and feeling that in the spine. So breathe into the space that opens up in your body as you arch and round your back. And you can exaggerate this a little bit too. So if you get all the way up to the top and you're in this arch, you could even hold here for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds and then go into that roundedness. So we're getting some movement in the spine. Couple more. Looks great, and everybody's breathing into the movement in the body. And then coming back to a neutral position. Bring your feet a little closer. Close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths and notice. Notice your hands and fingers, your wrists and forearms, your elbows and upper arms, your shoulders, your back, your neck, and your spine. So from the back of your head all the way down to your tailbone, are you aware of anything that's a little bit different in your spine right now? And is there a difference in your breathing? And let your eyes gently open. So your spine is a series of joints as well, just like your fingers, right? So we want to make sure we get movement into the spine. And sometimes when we have stiffness or soreness, our tendency is to want to isolate that and not move it. And really the better thing to do is to explore what movement is possible. So maybe I've got something going on in my low back and I can't really arch my back like this, but maybe I can just arch my upper back a little bit and just do a little bit of work in the upper part of my spine. So I don't want to shut down everything in the spine if I've got some pain in my lower back or in my neck. I want to see what movement is available and comfortable for me to do. And from there, sometimes we can actually get more movement in the spine. So just kind of a thought there. So we're going to shift gears and move down to the feet because Pat requested extra work on the feet today. So we're going to be doing that. So extend your right leg and spread your toes really wide. Now, if you have your socks off, see how much daylight you can see between your toes when you do this. And if you have your socks on, how far can you stretch your socks? And if you have your shoes on, so you're going to be limited by the width of the toe box in your shoes. But see, it's like you're trying to stretch your shoe. How's that? So you're really kind of pressing that out. All right, and then relax that, and we're going to go the other side. So spread your toes really wide. Look down there and see what you can see. Daylight or a sock spread or pressing into the toes. And then let that go. Now, maybe there was a difference on the right side and left side. So we're going to look at it one more time with that in mind, right? So right leg extend, looking at the toes, breathing in, breathing out. Okay. And then left side. Okay. So we know what that looks like. Great. So bringing your right foot extended again, we're going to squeeze and extend the toes. So squeeze like you're kind of scrunching them down, and then extend. Squeeze and extend. Good. And then point and flex your foot. And you can tap your heel and your toe, or you can keep your leg elevated if you want, or you can have your foot on the floor if that's a little easier for you. Notice if your back is kind of rounding. See if you can sit up nice and tall as you do this, and then circle at your ankle. Breathing in, breathing out. Now, ankles tend to be a little bit noisy as well. You might hear a little snapping or crackling noise in there. And reverse direction. Good. And then heel comes down to the floor, and take your hands right alongside your body, so right near your hips, and just press down a little bit so that you feel a little lengthening in your spine, but not so much that your shoulders come up around your ears. Pull your belly in a bit. So you want to engage those belly muscles as we bend and extend the knee. So bend and extend. Lots of different ways to do this. So now with the foot lifted, that requires a lot of quadriceps strength. You could tap, right? If your leg doesn't feel quite so strong, if your leg is really not feeling very strong today, you can slide. Just kind of slide that foot in and out. As long as we're trying to get that range of movement. The knee is like the elbow, right? So we're just kind of getting that movement in there. Okay. And then let's bring that heel down to the floor. So we've got a little bit of movement in the ankle, the toes, the knee, and now we're going to get a little movement in the hips. So we're going to rotate the whole leg in and out and make sure the movement's happening way up here. So if you're looking down at your ankle has lots of movement available to it, and you might be doing most of the movement there. But if you can see your knee, notice your knee is turning, and then see your hip, maybe your leg, you can see it up there, or even put your hand there and feel it as it turns. Good. Okay, and the next time your toes are at 12 o'clock, so straight up and down, you're going to hold there and pull your toes toward your shin. Again, with your hands here, just for a little bit of support. Belly is strong. We're going to slowly lift that heel and then slowly lower the heel. Right? Slowly lifting the heel and lowering the heel. Now make sure you're pressing into your left foot, because that's the one that's on the floor still, right? So press into the left foot, slowly lifting the right and slowly lowering down. And the next time that you lift that right, we're going to hold here and breathe and pull the toes toward the shin a little bit more. And notice if your back wants to round a little bit. See if you can keep your back upright. If it's too much, if your back is rounding here, just drop your leg a little bit so you can have it a little bit lower. Really squeeze these muscles here. These are your quadriceps muscles. We want to make them really strong. Now they might be talking to you right now. Yeah? They might be burning a little or maybe shaking a little. They're just saying, we don't do this. What are you doing? Okay, how about 2 more breaths? Can we do that? There's 1. And 2, and slow, 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 lower down. Really, really slow. Ooh, yeah, because we're asking those muscles to be a break. Okay, bend that knee, give that thigh a massage. Oh, so if your thighs, if your quadriceps muscles, that's the top of your thigh here, the front of your thigh rather, if your thigh muscles are not strong, that's a really simple way to start to build some strength. You know, you don't have to go to the gym and do all these different exercises. You can just use your body weight, your concentration, your focus, and do these exercises yourself. How often do you sit during the day? Too much, yeah. So think about all the opportunities when you're sitting. I'm sitting here watching TV. Oh, I can do some leg lifts. I can do some toe stuff. You know, there's all these opportunities to do these kinds of things. We vilify sitting, and we do a lot of sitting in society. But instead of saying stop sitting, why don't we just sit more constructively? Sit more mindfully, right? So how can I sit in a way that puts my body in a different position than this? Like if I'm in this position all the time, that's the position when I get up, that's the position my body wants to stay in, right? It doesn't want to move differently. But if I can cross my leg, or put my foot out to the side, or do some of these leg lifts, anything like that, it just changes my position so that now when I get up, my body says, oh yeah, we have all this range of movement because the hip was just out this way, or the leg was just crossed that way. So, you know, we're good with that. Okay, where was I? Left side, right? All right, so extend that leg, and we're going to squeeze and extend the toes. Squeeze and extend. It's finally getting warm up here. Oop, I'm stuck in my rope there. Okay. So squeezing and extending the toes, and now we're going to point and flex the foot. Good. And again, you know, go with what's going on in your body. So maybe you have your foot on the floor the whole time. Maybe you tap or even rest, or maybe you keep the leg lifted, the foot lifted off the floor. Circle around at the ankle. Ooh, good noises out there. So the left ankle's doing a lot more work. And then reverse. I love doing work with my ankles like this because the ankles don't get a lot of opportunity to be non-weight bearing and go through a range of movement. And believe it or not, as simple as this can be helpful for your balance. So we're going to bring that heel down to the floor, and then having the hands right alongside the body, we're going to work the knees. So just bending and extending, so nice and slow. And again, thinking about bringing a little more consciousness to your movement. When you bring your heel under the chair, give the back of that leg an extra little squeeze. And then when you extend the leg out, give the front of the thigh an extra little squeeze. So that just kind of, it gets us into our end range with a little more consciousness, right? And it tells us, oh, I actually maybe have a little bit more. Maybe it's a millimeter more that I can go. Right? You can always tap the foot. I didn't mention it here, but you can tap or slide. How about just a couple more? Good. Okay, and then extend the leg, heel on the floor, toes reaching toward the shin. We're going to rotate this whole leg in and out. In and out. Good. So look down. Make sure you can see movement at the ankle, at the knee, and especially up here at the hip. Now this is going to be a little different for anyone who's had a hip replacement. You might notice a difference in the range from your right to your left. And that's normal and expected. Okay, and then the next time that your foot is at 12 o'clock, so toes straight up toward the ceiling, pull the toes strongly toward the shin, hands once again alongside the body, so we're sitting up nice and tall using the belly muscles. We're going to lift very slowly and then lower very slowly. Now, if your upper body is moving as you're lifting and lowering your legs, so in other words, if your upper body is kind of doing this, I'm really exaggerating, you're using your back as opposed to using your hip flexors and your thigh muscles. And what we're really trying to do is strengthen the muscles here in the front of the thigh and the ones, especially the ones that cross over the hip. Good. How about one more? And we're going to hold. Can you hold this here and breathe? Good. Really squeezing these muscles here. Excellent. Toes are still reaching toward your shin. Stop gritting your teeth because that doesn't hold your leg up. I know. I'm sure. I'm sure. The teeth are connected, but really in a kind of a far away kind of thing. So yeah. Can you squeeze just a little bit more and lift just a tiny bit higher? Tiny bit higher? Yeah, and then really slowly lower down. Slowly lower down. Ooh, wow. Okay, bend that leg. Yeah, owie, right. So lots of good massage here. Okay, so I'll give you a little tip. If you're someone who has trouble coming downstairs, if coming downstairs really poses a challenge to your knees, or you feel like you don't have the strength to come down the stairs, the best part of this exercise, which is also the hardest part of the exercise, is the lowering down. Okay? And that's because when you're lowering down, the muscles that we've just been strengthening like this, they have to act as a brake so that your heel doesn't slam down into the floor, right? When you're coming downstairs, these muscles here have to act as brakes so that you don't topple down the stairs, right? So when you're going up, you've got your butt, your hamstrings, you've got your quadriceps muscles. Everybody's working to get you up the stairs. That's usually easier. It's coming down the stairs that's the hardest. Anybody who's had a knee replacement or injury or anything like that knows that in rehab, that's like a big deal moment. When you can come down the stairs like a normal person, that's like a really big deal moment, right? Yeah, once you've had that done. Okay, so let's give the legs just a little bit of a rest, and we're going to look down at those feet. So both of them, take a good look at your toes. How well do you know your toes? Yeah, you know them pretty well. Yeah, they've been with you for a while, right? Okay, so let's see how well we can lift the toes independently. So we're just going to have all the toes on the floor, and we're just going to lift the big toes and then lower down. Right? So lift the big toes and lower down, but keep all the other toes on the floor. Now notice if you're having some difficulty doing that, right? Yeah. So here's the thing. If you've been in shoes, how many people have been in shoes their whole lives? Yeah, if you've been in shoes your whole life, you've trained your feet to work as a unit. You've trained your toes to work as a unit, right? You have not trained them to be independent. So one thing you can do, if you have the flexibility to be able to bend forward and place your fingers on all your little toes, hold your little toes down and lift the big toes. That might be helpful, like kind of as a start, right? And then keep going. So we're still lifting and lowering, right? Has everybody stopped? Okay. Yeah, because you don't like this. Pat asked for this, though. Remember that. She wanted extra.
I can't even reach them.
And then lower that down. Okay. So how was that difficulty-wise? Was it like super easy? Super easy. Super hard. Someplace in between. Okay, in between. All right. So let's keep the big toes on the floor and lift all the little toes. So same thing, if you needed a little assist, put your finger down there on the big toes and keep them anchored, and then lift all the little toes. Now, for some people, this is easier. For some people, this is harder. Right? Okay. And then relax that a little bit. Okay. So noticing how the little toes and the big toes kind of worked when we were pressing into the floor, we're going to do the opposite. So lift all your toes up, keeping the balls of your feet on the floor, right? So we're not going up onto the heels. We're keeping the balls of the feet on the floor, lifting all the toes up. Keep all of your little toes lifted up and press your big toes down, and then lift. And if they're not doing what you want, give them a really dirty look. Just look down there. Give them, you all got that mom or dad glare, right? Yeah, you want to do that. And then lift everybody up. And now keep the big toes up and press all the little ones down. And then lift. That's easy. I just heard somebody say that's easy. Good. Oh, easier. Oh, it's the part that I missed. Okay, and then relax that. Whew. All right. Who found it easier to have the toes lifted and pressed down? Who found it easier to have the toes pressed down and lifting up? Yeah, isn't that fascinating? I have no answer to why that is. I just find it really interesting. So if you have an easier time with the toes down and lifting, do the other one, right? So do the one that is the most challenged. Again, this is a great opportunity when you're sitting watching TV or having a cup of tea or just sitting, right? Reading. When you're reading, you don't even have to think too much about it. You can just kind of do that. Okay, so we go from simple to complex, right? So we're going to go more complex now. Lift all your toes. Press your big toes and your baby toes down and keep all the middle toes lifted. It's easy, right? And then relax that. Let the foot cramp go away. Yeah. Lift them all up again. Press the big toe and the baby toe, but keep all those middle toes lifted. Whew, and then down. Good. Now, can we breathe while we do it this time? Nice, easy breaths. Whenever you're ready, you can lift. And then press big and little toes down. Lots of different experiences here. Good. Okay, so bring your feet, toes in a little bit. We're going to come up on the toes and down. Just give them a little bit of a stretch. So that last one is really tricky, right? Yes, that one is really hard. So, in the spirit of kind of simple to complex movements, when we're moving the big toe, we're working this arch in the foot, right? So the toe bone is connected to the heel bone through some musculature in here and some tendons in here that get a little bit tight. So when we move that big toe, we're actually creating a little bit more stability in that structure. When we're moving the little toes, we're helping the outer part of the foot, which also has an arch, believe it or not, along the little toe side. Its job is not so much to lift up. Its job is to kind of create stability when you're walking. Because when we walk, we kind of go a little bit on the outer part of the heel and then over to the outer part of the little foot, the little toe. And then we kind of push off, right? So it's that movement that we need that for. When we press the big toes and the baby toes down and keep those other toes lifted, we're working the whole arch system, which is this arch in here, that arch there, and then something called a transverse arch, which goes from your little toe to your big toe. So it's that whole network in there that actually we're working when we're doing that. So if you have issues with your arches, If your feet are a little bit flatter or you have some issues with your arches, that's a great exercise to do every day, like multiple times a day when you're sitting, just kind of doing those exercises. Best to do them barefoot, because when you're in shoes and even when you're in socks, we tend to wear socks that are a little tight. And you can tell if you put your socks on and spread your feet, if you can't really spread your toes very well, then your socks are a little tight. So it's really best to do those barefoot when you're home so that you get that full range of movement there. All right. Did we satisfy the foot requirement today? You hate your feet. Aw, aw, I love feet. Without your feet, yeah, but without your feet, nothing else works, you guys, right? Without your feet, that is your foundation. Everything else, people with knee problems, people with hip problems, in my massage practice, I often start at the bottom first. What's your footwear? What's your habit? Let me see you walk. Let's see how your toes are, your toes crossing over one another. Where are the calluses on your feet? Because that's really important. It'd be like driving a car for 100,000 miles and never changing the tires. You're going to get a lot of wear and tear and maybe a blowout at some point, right? So it's really important to just kind of take care of your feet, take the shoes off every now and then, do some nice little things like that. Massaging your feet. Anybody massage their feet regularly? Oh, yes. That's a great thing to do. I love to do that when I'm watching TV. Because you're sitting in the chair or on the couch, yep, you can bring that foot up and just kind of give it a nice little massage. So a little reward at the end of the day. All right, let's scoot over to the right side of the chair. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of work here for the hips, because hips are important in balance, just as feet are important in balance. If your hips are stiff and don't have the range of movement that hips are made for, it's going to be a lot harder for you to maintain your balance if you get on an uneven surface or on, I don't want to say this, but it's coming, on a slippery surface. Yeah, I know it is going to happen. So just kind of in preparation for that. So let's start on this right side. Imagine there's a little wall here. It's like maybe 6 or 8 inches high. You're going to hold onto your chair with your left hand, keeping your spine nice and straight, keeping your belly active. So you don't want your upper body to move. We're just going to lift that right leg up over the wall and down, right? And then up and over the wall and back. So it's just a small little wall here. It's just like, if 6 inches is too tall, go to 2 inches. You can do just a little one here, right? So again, anybody who's had hip replacement or hip surgery or anything like that, this is one of the exercises they have you doing right away. And usually it's just, can you get the foot out there? Doesn't matter how high the wall is, just can you get the foot out there? Okay. Next time you have your foot out to the side, we're going to hold it here. And then we're going to use the heel and the toes and walk the foot out a little more and then walk it back in. Good. So out and in. So we're tricking the hip by putting all the focus on the ankle, right? So you got the ankle kind of moving like this, but actually when that leg gets out to the side, the hip is getting a little bit of a stretch. Y'all with me? Okay, you breathing? More than the bare minimum? Okay. Next time your foot is out to the side, hold it here. All right, we're going to shift the attention back up into the hip again, and specifically right in the glutes. Right, that's your buttocks, and then out to the side here on the side of the hip. I'm going to ask you to engage those muscles there and pull your knee toward the back wall as hard as you can. And then bring the knee in. Just roll that knee in. And then go out and in and breathe. So the knee is bent. The foot is under the knee, right? So you don't want your foot way out here. So if anybody's got their foot way out or way in, you want to have your foot kind of under your knee. So you got like 90 degrees there. Breathing in, breathing out. When you pull that knee toward the back wall, I want you to pause there for like 10 seconds and really squeeze those muscles in the side of the hip. And then come forward. That makes all the difference. I can go through this like this, right, really fast, and I'm not getting any benefit from that. I'm working within my range of movement that I like. When I pull my knee toward the back wall and I'm really engaging these muscles, I'm moving out of the range of movement that I like into a range that's possible, right? So I like to think of when I really engage at the end, I'm exploring what's possible. That's far more interesting. Okay, next time you have that knee pulled back, I'm going to ask you to hold there and breathe. Keep pulling the knee back as far as you can. Take that left hand that's on the chair, slide it to the back of the chair, and see if you can twist your upper body over to the left. Keep pulling your right knee toward the wall. So you're still getting that benefit. Breathing in, breathing out. And then slowly unwind and let that knee come in. Whew, good. Walk that foot in. I don't know about you, but my hip is saying, massage, please. Go to the center. Give that hip a little massage, maybe into your back, your buttocks, whatever feels like it's been working a lot there. All right, and then we'll go right over to the other side. So left side of the chair, kind of on the front of the hill and off to the side a little bit. A little wall here on this side. So start with a couple inches if that works best for you. Start with higher if you want. Right hand on the chair. So we're going to keep the torso up nice and tall. Good. I see a lot of overachievers out there. You got going right away. Good. You get to do extra. I like that. I like that. So breathing in and breathing out. So think about this as you're creating that movement. Where are you feeling it? Can you feel it in the hip? Can you feel it in the thigh? If you're feeling it in your back, you're using your back muscles. I want you to pull your belly in and use this hand a little more firmly to support your back. So you should not be feeling this in the back. Good. How about next time you're out there, we're going to hold, and then using heel and toe, we're going to walk in and out a couple times. So this is just, I love ankle mobility. I think I talked about this last week. This is something you can do with both feet, right? You can do this if you're strong enough and you feel confident enough. You can do this standing. A good way to do this is at your counter. If you have a nice long counter, just kind of doing this shuffle back and forth. This builds strength and flexibility in your ankles at the same time. So again, really complex movement, right? So we go from easy to complex. Next time you have your foot out to the side, or your leg out to the side rather, because the leg goes with the foot, I think. Okay, so the heel is under the knee, right? And we're going to engage the muscles here on this side, so glute, side of the hip, and then down into the outer part of the leg. We're going to pull that knee toward the wall, really strongly pull the knee toward the wall, and then bring it forward and pull it toward the wall and then pull it forward. So we're just going to go really slowly. So we're exploring. Now I'm a little shorter, so I got to scoot over to the edge of my chair. If the chair's getting in the way of your range, just kind of position your buttocks a little bit differently on the chair. This is something you can do on the floor. If you have difficulty getting up and down from the floor, do this on your bed, right? So you can sit on your bed and do this. We haven't talked about bed exercises for a while, but there's a lot of them you can do. A lot of the stuff that we do here you can do on your bed, like before you get up in the morning or before you go to bed. Okay, next time you pull that knee toward the back wall, I'm going to ask you to hold here and breathe. So really squeeze those muscles, really feel them working here. And then take your right hand, slide it back on your chair, and then see if you can twist your body ever so gently over to the right side now. So breathing in, breathing out. Good. Keep pulling the knee toward the wall. Don't let that knee come forward because we're really asking it to do quite a bit of work here. And then slowly unwind. Relax that leg. Use your heel and your toes. Come back, and that side's going to need a little massage here too, right? So give that a little massage. All right. Excellent. Okay, so now let's hold on to the chair, come up to the front edge, bring your feet wider than your hips. Now you're going to have to hold on pretty well here because the tendency will be to slide off the chair, and we don't want sliding off the chair. So we're going to bring the knees to one side and then to the other side. So as you bring the knees to the side, don't just let them fall over to that side. When you go to the right, really engage the outside of your right leg and the inside of your left leg. And as you go to the left, engage the outside of your left leg and the inside of your right leg. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we're pulling the knees from one side to the other. This I really like doing on the floor because you can really get the knees way over to one side and the other, and you get a better range. Like our range is limited by the fact that we're in this seated position on a chair with the feet a lot lower. When the feet are the same height as the hips, you get a little better range of movement. Okay, and then coming back to center. Walk your feet together, get to a more stable position on your chair. And we're going to cross the right ankle on top of the left knee. Now, if you can't do this, if this is just really not available to you, you can have your ankles crossed. That works as well. So what we're going to do here is lifting up through the spine. Bring your right toes toward your right shin. So that's activating the leg and the foot muscles, right? And if you're down here, same thing. You want to activate the foot. So your leg isn't totally relaxed here. Now, keeping your spine nice and tall and strong, we're going to hinge forward from the hips. That movement is from the hips, like you're trying to bring your navel down onto your thigh, right? So you're going to keep your chest lifted and then come back up. So as we do this, everybody feeling a little stretch in the outside of that right hip? Okay, so that's what we want. What I would like you to do, what I'm going to invite you to do, is as you come forward and backward, you're breathing in and out, explore how much farther you can go each time. So you all know, because we talk about this all the time, the difference between discomfort and pain. And discomfort can be pretty significant. Discomfort isn't, I'm not making that insignificant at all. Discomfort is really important because discomfort is your edge. And discomfort, that area of discomfort is again ripe with possibility, right? So if I could stay in a place where I'm uncomfortable, the next time you come forward and you get to a little place of discomfort, and it can be tiny amount or it can be a greater amount, when you get to that little place of discomfort, I'm just going to ask you to stay there and breathe into that discomfort. Now, if you're having pain, that's a different signal. Pain means stop. Pain means get out of this. This is not good for my body. Discomfort means, wow, this feels really uncomfortable. But I think I can stay here and breathe. So the more you can breathe into the discomfort that you're feeling now, the less uncomfortable it will become. If you're willing to stay there, you'll notice that it starts to change. And nothing has changed more than your perception. So your perception of discomfort is rooted in a danger signal in your mind, right? So if I'm forward and this is uncomfortable and my mind interprets that as dangerous, that's going to make that discomfort greater. If I can breathe here, that reassures the mind that everything is okay. It's just uncomfortable, but it's okay. That turns down the volume on that danger signal from the mind. And that doesn't just affect your hips, you guys. That affects everything. And then slowly come back up. Slow, 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 because you've been in that forward bend for a little bit. And then you can do one of two things. You can either just let the leg kind of drape over if you feel like it needs a little support, or you can uncross and bring your foot to the floor. Whichever you've chosen to do, close your eyes and just go into the experience of that leg and hip. Notice what you're feeling. And compare that to the other side and notice if there's more awareness, more aliveness in the right side. And then you can let your eyes open, and as you do, I'm going to invite you to take your left ankle and cross that on top of your right knee. Again, if it does not work for you today, you're going to cross at the ankles. That is okay. So we're going to activate the foot and the leg by bringing the toes toward the shin. And again, if you're crossed at the ankle, it's the same thing. You're still activating that leg and foot, right? And you can feel that. It's not just in your toes. When you pull your toes toward your shin, you should feel that up into your leg as well. So breathing in, breathing out, keeping your spine nice and tall. We're going to hinge forward from the hips as if you're bringing your navel down onto your leg and then coming back. So we move in and out of this a few times. Again, it's to investigate that edge. Right? It's easy to move in the places that you're comfortable. It's challenging to move into the places of discomfort. And isn't that just like life, right? So the places that we're comfortable, So easy to move in those circles, and then really challenging to move out. So as you're exploring your discomfort on this side, I'm going to ask you to find that place of discomfort that is maintainable for now, and you're just going to hang out here and breathe into it. And notice what this feels like. So breathing in and breathing out, as you're holding, you may notice a couple of things. Your experience of the discomfort may be changing, and if it is, and if you'd like to explore even farther, you can go deeper into that forward bend. If you're really okay with staying here at this level of exploration, stay right where you are. Breathe in, breathe out. So when we move only in our places where we're comfortable, our circle, our world, our movement can get very limited, get very small. So if we want to broaden and expand how we move in the world, it pays to explore those places where we're a little uncomfortable. So just a couple more breaths here. And then slowly, very, very slowly coming back up, because that's a really deep stretch. So honor the fact that we just asked that hip to do a whole lot of work. And then once again, just decide, does just kind of letting the leg hang here on top of the other one, does that make more sense right now? Or uncrossing the leg, does that make more sense right now? And it might be different on this side than the other. I'll invite you to get really comfortable now and close your eyes. If you're needing your socks or your shoes at this point, you might put them on if that feels like the best thing for you. We're just going to take the next few minutes just to explore the movements that we've been doing, explore how that's changed our perception of our bodies. So once you're shod, you can come into that comfortable position, close your eyes, and that way I'll know everybody's ready. And tune into your breath and notice the way the air is moving in and out of your body. And notice the bottoms of your feet and your toes. Notice your ankles and your lower legs. Notice your knees and your thighs and the backs of your thighs and those wonderful muscles in your hips. Those muscles that were strong and capable of pulling your knee back toward the wall. Those muscles are key to balance. They're key to your ability to go up and down stairs and to move forward. They're your walking muscles. And then notice your belly and your back. Notice your shoulders, the upper shoulders near the ears and the outer shoulders, the backs of the shoulders, the front of your shoulders, which is your chest, down into your arms, your elbows, your forearms, wrists, hands, fingers. Just notice if there's a different sense of these different parts of your body, an awareness that perhaps wasn't there before. And then turning your attention to your breath, noticing the way air is moving in and out. Feeling where your body expands and contracts with every breath. Noticing if the breath is easy or challenging. it's fast or slow, if it's shallow or deep. And notice if by observing your breath here at the end of our time together, it has a different quality than when you first were observing your breath at the beginning of our time together. Oftentimes, after a practice where we're focusing on breathing, when we sit and tune into the breath again, it feels more familiar, feels more comfortable. Sometimes in the beginning it can feel a little bit foreign because we've been away from it for a while. Take your hands up to your chest. Just let them rest on your chest and feel the breath moving underneath your hands as your chest rises and falls. And then perhaps taking your hands together in a moment of gratitude for that breath, because without that, nothing else is possible. And then if you'd like, maybe opening your eyes and just expressing gratitude for all these wonderful folks who are here today together. Great. So, no yoga next week. I just want to make sure I reiterate that because of the holiday. It's next week. It's Veterans Day. So the center will be closed. So no yoga next week and no yoga the week after of Thanksgiving, but we'll get to that. So I'll see you all in 2. All right. Have a great rest of your day, you guys.